lungs are breathing slow. There's a mother calling softly for the child she came to know. We took her milk, we took her baby, called it custom, called it need. But the earth remembers every bond we break to feed our greed. Bring the calves back to their mothers, bring the milk back to the young. Let no baby be taken before their life's begun. Bring them.
So if I have one of the beautiful team that would like to come on to moderate the open mic, I will be here. But I wondered if who would like to come up and moderate that while I just kind of stretch a little bit. Daniel, did you want to start? And I will let one of our other community members come up and moderate open mic.
I actually put up my hand when I heard the other speaker talk about moose, because at my last job as a roof truss designer, one of the jobs I got was a slaughterhouse. And I think it was specifically supposed to be for moose, because you were supposed to have a 200-pound dead load just in case they were having to hang up a moose, I guess. So I can't say I didn't even sort of try to make that work, but when all was said and done, I said to Jason, who would give me the job, I don't have it in me to do this. And he was kind of like, well, I mean, we have to do it. We're busy. So there was kind of pressure. And then I just asked Evan if he could take care of it, and he said he would. So I'm not even completely happy with that. I would love to work for a company where the company just says, we don't do those. But I was thankful that I was not designing a slaughterhouse, because I wasn't okay doing that. They laid me off eventually. I don't know if that was a factor in my being laid off, but I'm about to start another job, all and willing, I now say, as a roof truss designer at a different place here in Winnipeg. Truss fab. So I don't know if that'll come up again. I hope it doesn't. But if it does, I'm not comfortable designing a slaughterhouse. I don't want to do that. Even if it's factory farm, I'm like, you know what? If I know that's what it's going to be, then I just really pray for wisdom. And I also pray that I won't be feeding the wrong system. So even at Cersei, also known as church, this morning, I was telling them, just as Dr. Silas Rao explains in his book, which I choose to call there the Flat Plane B, if we want less selfishness, then we need to create a new system, because the current system rewards selfishness. So if we don't like all this selfishness, we need to change the system. So when I'm at this job, I look forward to earning some money, because I owe a bunch of money. And I want to be at a bunch of stuff, maybe even Woodstock Fruit Festival in California, because Will Tuttle has sort of summoned me to be there. I tried to talk him into being at a different one. Anyway, so I'm saying I look forward to creating the vegan world by the end of this next year. I do encourage that we be as open-minded as possible. I know a topic can come up and a wall can go up where you say, oh, I don't want to talk about that. I want to run away from that. That's controversial. I'm not into this. Sometimes people say I'm not into conspiracy theories. And I'm saying, look, I get it, and I'll be as understanding as possible, but the more open-minded we are, the faster we can bring about this vegan world. So I wasn't always a vegan. Before I was a vegan, I went flat earth, and I discovered Eric Dubay, and then he had a great flat earth video, and that got me thinking about veganism. And before you knew it, I said, wow, I guess I'm a vegan. Thanks, Eric. So Eric Dubay is a flat earther who's also a vegan. He had a great vegan video, and that's how I got into veganism. So if I hadn't gone flat earth, I hope I would have eventually gone vegan, but it would have taken me longer, because Eric Dubay played a key role. And he's got a great video called Stop Eating Your Friends, which you can find, I think, on YouTube. I watched it on BitChute, but it's a good video. He highlights Annette Larkins in Miami, who's a raw vegan, who's, you know, in her 70s, I think, and looks like she's in her 40s or something like that. But Thanks for letting me share. There is a freedom flotilla about to sail to Gaza too. Speaking of topics that we may or may not want to think about, but let's pray for them. They are going in non-violently, and they have been met with violence, but haven't been killed. At least not yet. Let's make sure they don't get killed. And again, thanks for letting me share. Much love, and may all be fed, may all be healed, may all be loved, as John Robbins so rarely prayed.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate definitely more. What you would run with your plans, or we want to definitely touch base around
Yeah.
May 9th and 10th to see what's there, and then even further. I know it sometimes it goes beyond, but as an interim, we will touch base there, and appreciate for being the first person to guide others too. So everyone, this is the open mic. So do come back or join and then share a thing, but raise your hand so that we can go in the flow. It'll be easier for others to add. So the main thing is we just posted in the chat. So the what we're gonna ask is what you will be doing as an activist on the International Calf and Cow Mother's Day, which is May 9th and 10th, 2026. So whatever on those lines you have a topic to present, you can mention. And if you need ideas or anything, whoever I can ask, probably I'll ask Dr. Rao. Dr. Rao, do you have anything to comment? Okay, we have Rebecca. So go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you, Shankar. I will let people know that about a year ago, I was at our church's women's group in the morning, and someone had an an egg dish, and we had talked. I said, "What it is what is it?" And yes, there's eggs in it. And I said, "Oh, baby chicks." And so that caused a ruckus in our church. Uh, Not one that the church knows about, but I knew about it because the board talked to me. But anyway, I'm feeling the reverberations now because some of the women's group people are saying we're not going to have a women's group for a few months. And I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I thought, well, I kind of want to do a Mother's Day thing. I have asked them twice now, can we do a Mother's Day thing about animals and bring up animals? This is, something I had thought about too, also. Well, I talked to another member yesterday and said, hey, did you know they've put it on hold? And if we have 2 or 3 people that would like to do one, can't we just do one? Just get the space and do one. So it seems like we ought to be able to show a video there on that day at 9 a.m. in the morning. Now, it's a kind of a new space, so we don't have the audio equipment. It might be a small screen, but at least it would be something that's announced, and who knows who might show up. And I see, when I saw there's a lot of them, but when I saw the mother calf of the elephants, it's very easy to feel like, oh, my mother must have felt that way too. Other mothers feel that way. So it's very easy to think about humans. And I think a couple of my friends at the church are thinking that, oh, we're just going to talk about animals. But no, it's very easy to move from one species to another. So that is in the works. I've just done one thing about it, and besides tell you, so it may not happen. But I'm telling you that because some others of you may be thinking the same sort of thing. I could show one video that day. I could do something. And so I wanted to tell you that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to Willow, who's here, or may still be here today, and our friend Lynn, and we have Danny. So, we'll pick one and see if we can do that. Okay, that's what I have to share about that. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, DJ. So yes, so sharing a video is as simple as this thing. But then probably kind of if it is for each one of us, we do a little bit of research. What is according to your event or your community or your neighborhood or whoever you pick, you can actually do that.
Well, the free food would be good. I mean, what a time to have some free vegan food also. But you're right. We could do some other actions after that too.
Yeah. So the key point is to make that connection between not just the human mother.
Right.
Hey, this is like every animal or could be anything, just relate. But
Right.
then see what we exploit as a human, like who we can stay with. Can we make that connection? Yeah.
And in the advertising of it, that does its work also, because if we send an email out, even if they don't come, they see the link to the International Calf and Cow Mother's Day. And if they're curious, they might explore. So even just announcing it, if we can get it in the newsletter, of course, the newsletter doesn't come out till Thursday or Friday. So, but anyway, we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So who wants to go next? Anybody have any interesting ideas to showcase to your
And
neighborhood?
there's I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I see Freya has her hand up.
Yes,
Yes.
there you go. Thank you.
I'm actually spotlighting. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I'd like to tell you that change is taking place, and we see it around where we live. We're in South Jersey, and New Jersey is known as the Garden State, which you would think is a misnomer if you're up near New York City. But down in South Jersey, it is very much a truck farming area where they grow vegetables and fruits and so on and ship them up and down the East Coast. Now, there's a dairy called Cumberland Dairy, and when the white wave soy milk was started, it was in Boulder, Colorado, and they couldn't supply enough to cover the East Coast of the United States. So they worked with Cumberland Dairy, who made a line and subsequently a dedicated facility for the production of soy milk, which is in Bridgeton. And I believe there's also an oat milk making factory nearby too. So Vineland used to be the egg basket of the nation, but they're not producing eggs and keeping chickens anymore. I can't say that it's completely gone away. I think the egg production industry went down to Delaware. But anyway, it's not in Vineland anymore. And we have lots of family-owned truck farms producing vegetables and berries and peaches and nuts and apples and chestnuts and so on. So it is a sign of how things are going and should go. And I think you can look forward to that happily.
Thank you, Shreya. Amazing. Like, so here I know in terms of being a long-time vegan, you're seen in all aspects, especially so how does, is there any other different communities that you would invite or make appeal? Can you add like a list of communities or anything? Just to give an idea.
We do have one girl who's producing mushrooms on a pretty good scale.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for also giving a glimpse around the New Jersey. Now you tempted me to make me to travel. I'm in the DC area, so
Well, the mushrooms
not
are marketed as far as New York City. I'm not sure what other big cities, but she has quite an enterprise going, so that's good.
okay. Good. Okay. So I'm still going to go and refer the website, that website which Tammy shared, and the website actually gives me the area where I can submit. So that is also some of the things which I'm looking. So we will share it in the chat. So after this also, if you're still not sure or telling into general audience and everyone, if you want to know what areas you want to look, you can actually look at it. So we will share the link chat. Thank you, Priya. And Dr. Rao, do you want to add anything or
Yeah, I wanted to speak a bit about how the academic institutions are all coming around to acknowledging what is going on, because as part of the Guide to Planet B, I have listed like 7 foundational myths in the current system. A myth is a lie wrapped in a truth, right? So there are 7 foundational myths. So, including the protein myth, the calcium myth, the myth of human supremacy, and all that, right? So there are 7 of them. And I mean, there are others, of course, that are not foundational, that are derivative myths, so to speak. But any myth in a system has to be stable. Otherwise, it'll disappear. So to keep it stable, the education system should be propagating the myth somehow. Okay, so that's so academics have to be involved in propagating the myths somehow, right? Because we are producing students who come out of these educational institutions who are steeped in the myths, right? So if we are steeped in the myths, that means that somehow the myths are being propagated. So anyway, I was talking about this to a member of the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. She's from Ukraine, and she is a fairly high up in the IPCC. And she told me that she was arguing with the scientists within IPCC about, about the animal agriculture issue, right? So she was right in the beginning, she was arguing about it. And she's one of those who's well regarded in the community. And so she heard my presentation and my listing of the myths and how the myths have to be converted to axioms if you really want to solve problems and so on. So I was laying out my systems engineering approach to how would you solve the problem. And so she invited me to submit a paper, to an academic paper, to a special issue of the European Geosciences. Was it the Geosciences Union? So EGU. So they have geosciences communication as a special issue on education. So, and I asked Pooja if she would co-author with me because she draws all these system diagrams, and I need, a lot of system diagrams drawn for this paper anyway. And so, anyway, let me just show you the abstract of the paper that we are submitting. And I sent it to the editor, and the editor has basically said, send us the full paper. So anyway, this is the abstract. So I had to send the title, The Impact of Institutional Miseducation on Climate Stability and Ocean Health. It's a special issue on education for climate stability and ocean health. So I included climate stability and ocean health. It's really about life support systems of the planet. So this paper examines how formal educational institutions transmit and reproduce the value systems, myths, and behavioral defaults underpinning unsustainable civilizational patterns. Drawing on systems engineering, ecological science, critical pedagogy, and the Planet B systems engineering framework, it argues that the current global education system functions not merely as a neutral conveyor of knowledge, but as an active instrument for encoding what we term Planet A operating protocols. So these protocols include the primacy of economic growth, the separation of human beings from nature, the normalization of animal exploitation, and the systematic suppression of ecological literacy. The paper traces the mechanisms by which institutional miseducation operates through curriculum design, institutional food culture, like the cafeterias and institutions and so on, the hidden curriculum of values and assumptions, industry capture of educational research, and the structural rewarding of compliance over critical inquiry. It assesses the downstream consequences for biodiversity, climate stability, ocean health, and social equity. Finally, it outlines the components of a Planet B educational paradigm, grounded in interdependence, sufficiency, ecological design, and systems thinking, It argues that educational transformation is a necessary precondition for civilizational transformation, encoding climate stability and ocean health. So I'm basically calling for a complete transformation of the educational system in the paper. Okay. And so here's the section outline of the paper. So I go into details on what the sections are going to be: introduction, theoretical framework, mechanisms of miseducation. And we're going to use the $20 trillion food, pharma, healthcare system, which results in chronic malnutrition and managed diseases, as an illustrative consequence of institutional miseducation. So it's through miseducation you are sustaining a food, pharma, healthcare system that really doesn't even, feed everybody properly, and it doesn't even keep people healthy, right? And then we are going to show how you could nourish everybody and keep everyone healthy for around $6 trillion. So that's with the Planet B educational paradigm. If that's your objective function, you can do that. If the objective function is to make money, you can spend $20 trillion and not accomplish anything. So that's what we want to show systematically how this happens, and why it is becomes so inefficient in the current system. Now, I would think that this is kind of radical for people in academia to hear that they're miseducating people. But I was surprised when the editor said, please send us the paper. We really need this. And to me, that's a huge, huge door that opened.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Definitely, the impact is what do you call it, in a multilinear, you can say, because it goes through the research,
Yeah.
educational institution, then further into the other mainstream, and then guides the industry, companies, corporates. Just a good cycle. So definitely, the impact is very wide, and plus this will also get refined. But when you go through this, a lot of it gets refined, and they will be able to. But the key is like the Planet B, how you're not totally blindly accepting the conventional system. Then, like right now,
Planet B is like is showing that there is an alternative. Because normally people say, we are stuck with the system because there is no alternative. And that's the reason why we are maintaining the system and continuing the system and so on. And by showing that there is an alternative, there is a Planet B. And I actually shared the paper with this researcher from the IPCC, and she agreed. So she agreed that this is showing a viable alternative. Okay. And she said it's a very important paper. We need to submit. We need to propagate it. So at least now, there is recognition in the academic community that they are part of the problem and they need to, step up and fix it.
Isn't the Geophysical Union one of the largest gatherings?
Yeah. The American Geophysical Union is the largest gathering. This is the European Geosciences community. Is the European version of AGU.
I see.
And so they have asked for the paper in for their special issue on education. And so it's a good sign. I mean that mainstream community is now asking for this.
Well, I have a question. What would be the next thing that they read? Do they need to read There Is a Planet B, or go straight to the guide? And then the next question is when can we start getting the Planet B guide? But yeah, what is the next thing that those people would read, do you think?
They'll be reading the full paper. So we are working on the full paper. He said, I've said that we can submit the full paper by end of May. Okay, so we're writing it up now.
Okay, so they don't need to read There Is a Planet B.
No, she took a copy of There Is a Planet B.
Okay.
She took a copy for herself and for one of her colleagues that she's going to meet in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So she took 2 copies and she got me to sign both copies also. So
yeah, that book just flows with information, and I'm looking forward to the Planet B guide.
Yeah, the Planet B guide is now up on Amazon. but I'll have to put. I haven't put it on our website yet, but you can download the PDF for free from the website shortly. Oh,
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I think Ray has a question. Thank you,
Well,
Dr.
I had an open mic thing that I wanted to bring up, so I don't want to interrupt the flow of what's going on here.
Sure.
Well, then let's keep Salish up here just a teeny bit longer then with questions.
Yeah, you could answer because
Right. Well, we've got him, folks out in the audience. You've got him right here. He's on the
Yes.
verge of a new paper. It's going to be monumental. I mean,
well, I don't know about that. Yeah, but it explains why. See, I'm a systems engineer, so I analyze systems and I explain why they behave the way they do. How come? Why is the protein myth sustained? How is the protein myth sustained? How is the calcium myth sustained? Okay, and I mean, how are all the myths sustained? Not just protein and calcium. There are so many myths, right?
right. Have you read some of the books from Joseph Campbell about the myths, the story of myths and that?
Right.
I remember reading, and I looked it up because I think it was in Will Tuttle's book, World Peace Diet, where he mentioned it. So I looked it up. I don't remember if it's on the web or whatever. But sure enough, Joseph Campbell said after studying all these myths, he thinks very possibly the first myth was created when humans killed an animal and had to come up with something to explain why they did that, because before they honored them, they respected them like other beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very interesting. And so it makes you wonder, when you bring up these other myths, how did they come about? How did we decide, hey, you remember those images? Who in a business suit would get down on their knees and go under a cow to get some milk? I mean, who comes up with that wild stuff?
Right. No, the myths are sustained. How are they sustained? Right. So I'm claiming that when an educational institution, serves meat and dairy as default in their cafeteria, they're actually propagating the protein myth and the calcium myth. Right? They're basically subtly telling their students, you need to eat meat to get protein, you need to drink milk to get calcium. So they're reinforcing the myths when they do that. But if they had plant-based as default, they're working against the myth. They're saying that that myth is a lie. You really can get protein from plants, and you can get calcium from plants. So that's what they would be doing if they switched it to plant-based as default. So that's how myths are propagated through the education system.
And that's what we need to know about. And that's what we need to know about, not just where they came from, but they're happening now, so let's change them.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Okay. So we have to show them that this is how they're propagating the myths. How are they propagating the myth of infinite growth? I mean, they're basically saying that, in their management and their economic textbooks, they're basically saying growth is necessary for maintaining well-being. So this is how you propagate myths. And so we have to identify, you create system diagrams to show how myths remain propagated, so that you see a positive feedback loop, that keeps going and going, so that it maintains the myth, right? And then you have to figure out, how do you break that? How do you create like a negative feedback loop? So basically eliminates the myth and adds the truth, tells the truth, as opposed to, you don't want to send kids out into the world with false narratives in their heads so that they go around destroying the planet, right? Which is what we are doing now through the educational institutions. Okay, so I'm actually, I'm going to use examples, and unfortunately I have to use my alma mater as examples, because that's where I've studied the most, so I know how they're propagating the myths.
Great.
Looks like there are lots of people with raised hands now. Good.
I think maybe they have questions on the same topic, possibly. I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
You have to ask them Shankar, if they have the questions on the same topic or a new one, because then Ray has the new topic. Okay.
Is it okay if I go by the sequence, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Or
go for it.
Yeah. If
I'll
there is any,
take myself off. Yeah.
no problem. Like if there is any questions on Dr. We can ask, or else we'll go in the sequence.
Yeah, sure.
And Dr. Rao is there. We can always. So Ray,
May I ask?
think you're. Yeah, so just a minute. Before you raise in the line, and he's completing his question, then you'll be unmuted. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I had something to say about what BJ was just talking about, because, and I believe I've shared this video with her. Margaret Robinson is a professor who's an Indigenous woman and a vegan, who explains how she sees the mythologies and stories of her culture explain exactly what BJ was describing, that they needed to reconcile this idea of killing animals that they consider their brothers and sisters. They consider them family. So that there's a series of myths that are dedicated to this point. I'm a bit uncomfortable calling them myths, because this is, cultural learnings, things. It's all under the umbrella of things that we've decided to do together and working through the reasons why we do. But I'll let other people speak on this topic before I bring mine up.
Okay, sure.
I put a link to the video in the chat, and I put a bunch of notes in the comments that link directly to the part that I'm talking about.
Okay, and if you want to explain also, fine, right? If you can move, because more you show it, it'll be easy to ask, or everybody we will understand. Yeah. You want to share it? And
no, it's a lecture. So anybody that's interested in the topic of Indigenous veganism, because a lot of, especially environmentalists, will see an alignment with First Nations people and feel that because they have a hunter-gathering culture, by being vegan, you're offending them. But this is a vegan environmentalist, Indigenous person who's helping to reconcile an identity.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. The new topic. And,
no, that's in it for this topic for. It was just something in that referencing BJ.
Okay. So, Ray, shall I move to Sudha?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. Hello, Sudha. Per your request, we have just only kept the audio, not video. So, and now you can ask your question. Just to remind you that this entire session is open mic. The topic is, what will you be doing as an activist on International Calf and Cow Mother's Day, which is May 9th and 10th, 2026. So the initial question, your question can be aligned to that, but you can explain who you are and what you're doing, all your background, no problem.
Okay, to the host, everyone, hello. I'm from India. So I'm attending this from yesterday. It's lovely. So I'm one of the entrepreneurs who has come up with the inspiration of veganism also. So I wanted to be someone who is very healthy because of my certain conditions, like with my visual impairedness, which suddenly happened in the life. But I know that there would be some way where I get out. So in looking that for my own self, I landed up in research of many things, including the subjects that just explained, like myths. Even I wondered while listening, I was very keen. And I'm listening. These were the same things when I went through my own research, and I really found this. And I'm from a very good educated family, where while I was explaining that what is the veganism, I was struck with most of the questions. Why should be you the vegan? Then I came with a few explanations, just like the host, just before the some time, how he has explained. I was like wondering this. These were the same points. Like I was also like looking and trying to explain, and I discovered like I couldn't really convince everyone, but like I could really come to some conclusions where like yes, these are the things, and what should I do? So I just understood that behind everything, the money is of course the main point. Where like like publishing the papers, doing some work should be done. Then I have to come to the society and speak. So I got inspired again to see this. So I just came to tell you this. And I have small question somewhere like in India, if you guys seen, we heard of eggs being considered as vegetarian. Do you guys remember? Hello? From anyone from India?
Yes, I'm able to relate what you're saying. So,
Yeah. So like I was like looking, how did this myth has come? Because like, it's very evident that came like it is it's from animal, but still how this myth was still continuing, because even government has this like proposed to go for this one, and people are around this, and this is somewhat like I couldn't really answer for few, though it is very evident. Can anyone help me for this?
sure, anybody wants to answer, go ahead.
Yeah, my explanation for how eggs became considered as vegetarian is that the narrative is that eggs can be extracted from an animal without killing the animal. And same with milk. Milk can be extracted from the animal without killing the animal. And therefore it is not really, it's sort of a gray area. It's between eating animals versus eating plants. And so that's how I think it got pushed into the vegetarian agenda. In reality, what happens is that the egg industry is actually a source of tremendous suffering for the animals, and a lot of
Definitely.
animals get killed as a result of the egg industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even like today, when I have to look forward, like I just able to be connecting to the cosmic energy, and like started my journey back in a 1 decade. So like in that journey, when I just saw that I just need few resources to be even healthy. So when I'm being looking into that, I was like connecting the dots between the ancient technology that we had, and also like to the modern usage. In that model also, I saw that just because going very easy with every products, like even the cosmetics or the way we can just perform the things, I really saw that animals are the one of the ones who are like really victims, because we use so much of fat from their skin into many products and all, and we are unaware. One of the reason, but the second one is like also not knowing from our sides. That is also one of the responsibilities. I really thought this should be really a coin one for everyone in the education. Not knowing is one thing, and not asking is also one thing.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rao. And we have hello,
Hello.
Toby. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. This was just a response to what Salish is releasing, really. I don't know if we would talk about respond later, but yeah, I was thinking about the axioms, if they're relating to the IPCC's conventions as well, and if that would ever be talked about, because that really hits a nerve on their conventions, so they'd have to change, wouldn't they? And then the IPCC will be back in animal agriculture as leading cause of climate change. Yeah, so I think that'd be quite interesting if that does actually get used and looked at.
Yeah, she listened to my presentation and then she said, "Oh, we really don't look at um, the what is that called? It's the summary for policymakers, which is where the summary for policymakers is where they use the guidelines to say, okay, here is how we distill the data and tell you what is going on. And fossil fuels are responsible for so much and so on." And uh, she says, well, all the data is there in the IPCC. Yes, that's correct. And I'm saying, yes, that's correct too. It's there in the IPCC and the IPCC report, and we are actually taking that data and showing that animal agriculture is the leading cause based on your own. Yeah. So, there was no argument. There was no argument. So I think it is, they are ready to start accepting it now.
And that would mean we have to go vegan by 2026. We get accepted super quick.
As quickly as possible, right? Basically, you have to implement it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And so this is why, looking at, okay, which community do we do it in first, and which community can get to lead this? How would you lead this? And I'm really excited about Mongolia. I have to be honest with you, because if we can in Mongolia, which is only 3 million people, right, to largely go vegan, then we can tell the whole world, if Mongolia can do it, what's your problem? And I find that to be so poetic. We can get Mongolia to do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It would be amazing. I don't know how you do so much work. You've just finished your book and now you've got this paper already.
Yeah. No. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's impressive. Every time I was following the V-COPs, and you've always got something new that you've worked on. Oh wow, this is so interesting, And these axioms, when you were first talking about them in the last V-COP, and it's like, oh, I wanted to learn more about it. And now you're producing a paper talking about it more, so I'm really excited. And it's framing things in a positive way,
Right, yeah.
So
it's basically saying, look, it's just the system is driving us towards this, right? And so now you have to figure out how to make the system drive us towards sustainability, right? And now that puts the onus on institutions and feedback loops and things like that, not individuals. See, it's not individuals who are causing problems. It's the fact that we are actors in a system.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rob.
Sure.
We have Dr. Anya, please go ahead.
Unmute. Okay. Yeah, thank you. This is a question for Salish. Salish, first of all, congratulations for your paper getting accepted. I know from my own experience how huge of an accomplishment that is. So this is great. I was just wondering, in terms of systems thinking, how my experience is here in Montana anyway, that a lot of professorships are funded by, let's say, the lethal wildlife management system, since we're talking about systems. So hunters are paying the salaries for professors. Right. And so how do you have any suggestions as to how to break that force? Because institutions, academia, universities, they also rely on funding, right? So how do you suppose we could break that force of, the exploiters of animals funding professorships and programs and outreach and events? I mean, this is just really, it's quite overwhelming here in Montana, actually, what hunters and trappers are doing. So do you have any suggestions?
Well, it's everywhere. It's not just Montana. Yeah. You see, if we look at every university, especially the top universities are most ensnared in the system because they are the top universities in Planet A. And I say the best way to combat this is to shine a light on it. is to show that that's how it's happening. So let me just show, I didn't go through the details of this paper. Let me just share with you. So this is in the third section. So I have this, this is the outline I had to submit for the paper. So I say this is not a knowledge deficit, but a values transmission problem. It introduces institutional miseducation as a concept, okay, in the introduction. The theoretical framework, we talk about hidden curriculum theory, plus systems engineering, plus planetary boundaries, plus two loops theory of change. And then the mechanisms of miseducation. How does miseducation happen? So when you frame it as a miseducation, then educational institutions are on the, they don't want to be known for miseducating people, right? But that's how. But that's how it's happening. It is happening. Miseducation is happening. Why? Because the planet is dying. And so we say there are 5 channels for miseducation. Curriculum omissions. So we don't talk about things, certain things in omissions. The food environment is silent curriculum. So the food environment, the cafeteria and so on, is basically teaching the protein myth and the calcium myth and those myths. The reward structures, industry capture. I have to point out how industry capture keeps it going. And anthropocentric epistemology. So these are the 5 mechanisms that I've identified as for miseducation. And it uses the $20 trillion food, pharma, and healthcare system, which results in chronic malnutrition and managed diseases. As an illustrative consequence of this.
Salish, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but is there any way that lethal wildlife management could be added to that? Because, I mean, the trophy hunting industry, the trapping, and the gun industry really are really such a strong force in reinforcing these myths. So sorry, very sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's awesome. In fact, would you like to be a co-author on this? I would love some.
I would love to.
Add you as a co-author.
Oh God, I would love to, Salish.
Okay.
Yes.
Done. So we can include that,
Thank you.
Yeah. And then downstream consequences. Links each mechanism to measurable planetary outcomes. Biodiversity, climate, public health, inequality, and the polycrisis as a whole. And then I talk about the Planet B educational paradigm. 7 components of the transformative alternative, from ecological literacy to indigenous epistemologies, to the Oakland model. The Oakland model is basically the food system model. We show how an efficient Planet B food system that nourishes everyone could be implemented for around $6 trillion. Okay. And then case studies for Oakland food defaults, engineering education, and planetary boundary blindness. How engineering education with planetary boundary blindness causes engineers to go out there and design systems that break the planetary boundaries, right? And the nutrition animal agriculture nexus. And then discussions, on limits of incremental reform, the two-loop position of institutions, agency versus determinism, and methodological limits. And finally, conclusions. Those are the 8 sections that I'm proposing in the paper. It isn't, I'm not saying it's accepted, but the outline has been accepted. Okay. And they're asking for the full thing that will go through a review process, of course.
Sure. Yeah. So if there's any way of including lethal wildlife management, there is this movement within wildlife management, lethal wildlife management, to basically, I think it's called the wild protein theory. Yeah, right. Where it's all about hunting and killing the wild animals to get the protein. So the animal herself or himself doesn't even show up anymore. It's all about the protein, and it's couched into this wildness and return to our origins and the wildness and how beautiful and wonderful. So it's nauseating. And it's starting, I'm seeing this, I'm starting to show up in curricula at universities, not only in Montana, but all over the West. And I feel like this is very, very dangerous, obviously, So I would love to be included in your paper if possible at all. That topic really needs to be addressed as well. So
absolutely. I'll send you my current draft, within the next week or so, and then we can work out how we can include all of this in the paper.
fantastic. I am so happy. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. A. Thank you, Dr. Hello, Dakota. Come.
Oops.
Let me spotlight you. Okay.
Hi, guys. Oh, great conversation. I just had a comment, and I just love how you think, Dr. Rao and Anja, everyone. But I love what you said, Dr. Rao, about holding these systems accountable, but in such a way that they're on board with you, like pointing out the inconsistencies and the miseducation. But then when you said, like, feeding animal products to and universities would be supporting the miseducation versus, when you do plant-based and you're actively working against the miseducation. However you said it was really awesome. Anyway, I think that's great. It's huge. It's like you see dominoes falling, universities going plant-based all over the world, all over the country. And Anja, I'm so glad you're joining in with the other angle about the trapping. And I just love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dakota. Yeah.
Hello, Daniel.
So so you were saying that Mongolia is largely vegan, right?
No.
No.
Not at
Okay,
this
you're saying
point,
it can go?
Sorry?
Are you saying that it has a potential of going that way? Or
Yeah, I was just imagining if Mongolia,
imagining it. Yeah.
if Mongolia could be largely vegan, then the whole world has no choice but to do it.
Yeah. And there was somebody that did that same lady present on here that presented maybe at the last V-COP or something like that? Because there was somebody from Mongolia that was basically
she was here earlier today.
Today, and she was in the last week of presenting about how she does goes to the other, like outside the city or the capital, Ulaanbaatar of Mongolia, and then there is a good they prepare the vegan food and everything, and it's almost like reminding them their own culture, what modernization people do forget. And Dr. Roy, you put the important point of like how we can bring this, because I know people throw that as an example. Hey, what about people in Mongolia? I think Rebecca mentioned, I guess. So definitely we can take that point and see, like, and it's really vast. It's really wilderness. You go there, and still people were able to do only during the winter. They were reliant heavily on the meat-based products, but then they go back. So, and if you could say, hey, you don't need that. See, you get all the nutrients, or this is the way you could do. Maybe if you store the food this way or preserve the food this way, you could run your winter with this, so that you don't need this.
And I love what Will Tuttle said in his book, The World Peace Diet. I think he had a massive point when he said, we're in a very fortuitous time in the world. Like some people say, oh, I have to make sure I eat local. I'm like, that is overrated. Who in the world cares if it's local? We can get it to everybody way up in the Arctic. We can get them vegan food, no problem. And it's killing them to eat all those animals. People say, look at the Arctic, they eat animals. Yeah, they're the ones that die the youngest. They have heart disease and everything. So I think Sharon Gannon really makes a mega point on that, saying, oh yeah, you want to talk about the people in the Arctic? There's your case study for what happens to you when you eat the animals. And ASAP, let's get away from that. And I even want to believe that once we create that vegan world, maybe this world won't have such brutally cold regions. And some people might say, but that's impossible. I like to add the apostrophe. So then impossible becomes I'm possible. And I do know there are tropical fossils in the Arctic region. So it's not as though that hasn't already happened.
Okay. Awesome, Daniel. Thank you. So we have 5 minutes left, and I had two more people raise their hands, so we'll try to manage the time. So go ahead, Nancy. It's your turn.
Hi. I feel like we are watching history in the making. But
Well, just ask your question. Go ahead.
I feel like we're watching history making. The question I was just thinking when we were talking about, people eating animals, and I always have the impression that it started two ways. One, because people migrated north and we didn't have agriculture like we have now, and animals were here long before people. And the early humans probably saw animals eating other animals, and like, oh, that looks like a good thing to do. And then it just, cultures, and then you get cultures and societies with all their habits. And then now we have these industrial complexes making an enormous amount of money, and in particular the drug industry, I think, is largely behind a lot of the lies, because they would just lose a lot, in the end. So that's all. Thank you.
Good point, Nancy. Just want to add, like the people refer to the Arctic. So there is also like the Chukchi tribes or something, Bering Strait and all the way stretch. So they used to eat the reindeers or the animals there, but they are very good in having some sort of a UV like sense, so they can see the minute grass still fresh below the snow, and they eat that. And most of them who eat as a fresh kill, they get the greens from there, but they don't eat something like preserved in the fridge. So they eat and they really go for the guts, because that's where all the greens are there and everything, not the body. So that's one thing also I heard, like they don't eat. Okay. Hello, Deborah. Go ahead, please.
You're muted.
Yeah, let me ask you. Can you try unmuting? Okay.
Hello, Silas. What's the path from being legitimized by a journal article to becoming a bit of a popularizer at some kind of high-level magazine article, so like The Atlantic or something like that, so that this stuff would be disseminated quickly across a certain segment of the population? Is there a path?
I have no idea, Deborah. I'm just going along with the flow.
The flow. Okay.
I just see all these opportunities and I say yes.
I say yes. Okay.
By the way, that Global Earth Repair Convergence that I'm going to attend May 7th through 11th is organized by the guy who organized Live Aid, who's one of the organizers of Live Aid. Okay, it's not that he was the main, but he's the guy who went to India and got Doordarshan to promote it, to have it on for the whole time. He went to China and got their national television to host it for the whole time. So anyway, he's the one who got 1.5 billion people to watch it.
Okay, so maybe he's one of the keys.
I don't know.
To a broadly flowing mainstream acceptance of these ideas. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Great, good luck. And thank you.
You're going to keep at it, okay? So I'm never going to give up. That's one thing, because my granddaughter has told me to do my job, and I'm going to do my job. Whether people
and she's
like
going
it or
to be
not.
on your case forever. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm never going to give up, and I'll no one can put me down. I'll always get up and keep doing it.
Great. Thanks to your granddaughter.
Yeah, thanks to my granddaughter.
Okay.
Also, thank you, Dr. Rao. You created a system where it will take care of itself from what ideas you mentioned.
Yeah.
Definitely all.
And the whole idea behind writing There Is a Planet B and a Guide to Planet B is to say, don't you dare tell me there is no alternative. There is an alternative.
And we can download the guide to Planet B from the website. Yes.
Shortly, okay? I haven't uploaded it
not
yet.
This instant. Okay. Good.
Yeah, not
okay,
this instant, but it will be done very soon.
Thank you.
Hopefully by the end of next week. Yeah. It's already on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.
Okay, great.
Thank you, everyone.
There's a mother calling softly for the child she came to know. We took her milk, we took her baby, called it custom, called it need. But the earth remembers every bond we break to feed our greed. Bring the cows back to their mothers, bring the milk back to the young. Let no baby be taken before their life's begun. Bring them home to their mothers, let their bodies tell the truth. What was made for loving was never ours to use. She knows him by his breathing, by the sound beneath his cry, by the way the dawn is shining in his dark and liquid eyes. This is more than instinct speaking, more than nature's simple way. This is a love that crosses species, older than the word away. Bring the cows back to their mothers, let the circle still be whole. What is taken breaks the planet, what is love restores the soul. Bring them home to their mothers, let compassion be our guide. Every child beside their mother, every mother with her child. I have walked where moose give birth, where the cows lay down to calve. Placenta on the forest floor, a boundary sacred, raw and vast. I did not belong inside that circle, and she let me know it true. She ushered me back from the forest, from her home, where she belonged, not you. Bring the cows back to their mothers, honor where the birth blood lies. There are laws older than markets written in the mother's eyes.
This last year, the krill fishery took 650,000 metric tons out of the Southern Ocean. And this is literally taking the food out of the mouths of whales and penguins, seabirds and seals. These species are being severely impacted by the greed of the krill fishery.
And out beyond the breaking waves, where the great blue mothers roam, there are calves beneath the surface, learning oceans as their home. We reach deep for tiny bodies, scoop the krill from living seas. But that food was made for mothers and the young they hold and feed. Leave the krill for ocean mothers, leave the seas to feed their young. Let the whales and gentle giants raise their babies strong and sound. Bring them home to their mothers, land and ocean, hoof and fin. When we stop what's not ours to take, the healing can begin. We are waking from a long divided dream, where we fed on domination and called violence routine. Now a wider love is moving through our hands and what we choose. Every meal a sacred promise that no mother has to lose. Beloved, stand beside me with your feet upon the ground. Let our lives be living answers, let protection make it sound. This is how the world turns gentle, this is how the old ways end. When we choose the mother-child bond again and again and again. Bring the cows back to their mothers, let the mothers keep their.
It's a tiny bit less than 80 acres. I have Jersey cows, Holstein cows, a yak.
She estimates she's rescued about 158 cows.
And most cows don't get to live like this. It makes me happy.
Tack Writer says she got to know cows working at a dairy farm in 1976.
The cows were just wonderful, and when they stopped making milk, they got slaughtered.
She decided to create the sanctuary after tragedy struck.
Huge storm, and I found all these dead cows in the field. The first cows I had were the 6 babies that survived the lightning storm.
She wrote a children's book about that experience, with proceeds benefiting the nonprofit, which she runs herself.
We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby. Even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable,